Columbus, Georgia, this is your City Council. Mayor Teresa Tomlinson. City Manager Isaiah Hughley. Pops Barnes, District 1. Glenn Davis, District 2. Bruce Huff, District 3. Evelyn Turner Pugh, Mayor Pro Tem and District 4. Mike Baker, District 5. Gary Allen, District 6. Mimi Woodson, District 7. Walker Garrett, District 8. Judy Thomas, Post 9 at-large Councillor. Connie Washington, Clerk of Council. And City Attorney, Clifton Fay. Columbus, Georgia, this is your City Council.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the July 10th meeting of the Columbus City Council. We're so glad to have you back. We had a little break for the July 4th holiday. Hope you all were able to stay out of the heat and enjoy family and friends and neighbors. But again, so glad to have you back, and we've got a lot of business as we always do. So we want to get started on the right foot. And we've got Reverend Samantha Tett here with Revelation Missionary Church. If you'd come forward. So good to see you.
Good to see you. Good morning. Let us pray. Thank you, Father, for this opportunity. I thank you for allowing us to see yet another day. We thank you for your kindness and your mercy that you have shown towards us individually and collectively. I pray, Father, that you speak to the hearts and minds of the government officials that are here today. I pray, Father, that you remind us as leaders, as teachers, as preachers, that we have been called to be set apart. I pray that you remind us that we are that salt of the earth. And if that salt loses its saltiness, then we are indeed useless. I pray, Father, that you help us to be on one accord. You help us to walk in unity as we strive to make Columbus greater. Father, I know we can do nothing without you, so I ask right now, Father, that you come into this place and move in a mighty way. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I was going to say, Miss Reverend Tett, that you got a big job. Yeah, you got to keep this one straight right here. Yeah, it's Mayor Pro Tem's church, so thank you for what you do. You've got a great group of ministers over there, Valerie Thompson, a whole bunch of good folks. So thank you for being here this morning. All right, we've got a group of helpers for the Pledge of Allegiance. We've got Tinkertown Daycare and Learning. They're here today, and if you all will come forward and stand here in front of the desk, and we're going to have you all lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And as they come forward, if the rest of you all would stand and prepare for them to lead us in the pledge.
Mariah?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
Wow, you guys really did good. Oh my gosh, that was really, really good. So we want to hear your name and how old you are. So introduce yourselves if you would.
Tell her your name.
My name is Zaria. 3.
3? Mm-hmm.
My name is Mariah. 4.
4, okay.
My name is Tay, and I'm 6 years old.
Okay.
This is Kamani, and she's 3.
3, okay.
My name is AJ, and I'm in 4.
Okay, great.
My name is Nala, and I am 6.
6, all right.
My name is Johnny, and I am 4.
4, okay.
My name is Janessa, and I am 8. My name is Trini, and I'm 6.
This is Phoenix, and he's 4.
All right.
Shy.
My name is Anaya, and I'm 7. My name is Jaya, and I'm 8.
Good morning. I'm Gloria Jackson, the owner, and these are their teachers, Miss Carol and Miss Denise, and we are right across the street from you guys. And I'm very proud of our future leaders, and I was part of Midtown Inc. when you first started that.
All
so
right.
We've been here 16 years and very proud. These are our future leaders of America, and one day, hopefully, some of them will be in this building serving.
That's exactly
Thank you
right.
for
We're just
having us.
keeping these seats warm for you all, okay?
Thank you for
All
having us.
right, thank you. Let's give them another round of applause. All right, we've got approval of minutes for the June 19th special called council meeting. Can I get a motion to accept those? Is there a second? Were there any changes or edits that anyone saw? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please state aye. All right, we're going to pull one resolution forward, and we want to ask the family of Milton Lockett Jr. to come forward, please. And friends, you can all come forward. Mr. Milton Lockett was a pillar of this community. We sadly lost him recently, and we want to make sure that he's recognized in the fashion he well deserves. And we also want to recognize our former mayor, Bob Poitashef, who's here this morning. And we're going to turn it over to Councillor Bruce Huff, who would like to present a resolution.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you all for being here. Before I get started, I'd just like to give my condolences to the family and say that you get a few chances in life for people to say a few nice things about you. And Sergeant Lockett always pulled me aside, talked to me about a few things, but I was at one of his neighborhood watch meetings and neighborhood meetings at Burger King, and he took time to control the floor at that moment and just stop the meeting. He wanted me to give them an update of what was going on here, and he took time to tell the group. He said, I support this guy, and he's out working for the neighborhood. He says, so I appreciate what you do. And I appreciate him for his fearlessness. He led you all out. He was out front. He was never afraid of anything. And just a wonderful, wonderful person. So the resolution reads, whereas Milton Lockett Jr. was born on February 5th, 1935 in College Park, Georgia, to Mr. Milton Lockett Sr. and Mrs. Betsy Mae Richards Lockett, with siblings Mattie Pearl, Inez Louise, Mildred, Betsy Mae, Teresa, Deborah, and John. Whereas Milton Lockett Jr. attended College Park Elementary, East Park High School, and in later years graduated with honors from Phillips College with an associate's degree in business and graduated from Troy State University with a bachelor's degree in business. Whereas in 1952, at 17, Milton joined the Army and was inducted at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and basic training at Fort Bliss, Texas, in anti-aircraft artillery. His military assignments were 1952, Augsburg, Germany, in the 43rd Division, later renamed the 11th Infantry Division. 1955, Fort Chaffee, Arkansas. 1956, South Korea. 1958, the 44th Ranger Company, where he graduated with honors in 1959. He did so well as a student that he was assigned to the 44th Ranger Company as an instructor, where he demonstrated Ranger techniques to then President John F. Kennedy. In 1961, he was assigned to Schweinfurt, Germany, as the squad leader and assistant station sergeant to the 30th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Infantry Division. In 1964, he was assigned to the 3rd Ranger Company, this time as the senior instructor in hand-to-hand combat demolition and techniques of patrolling. In 1966, he was assigned to South Vietnam Bravo Company, 18th Infantry Regiment, 1st Infantry Division, and later by orders of the commanding general to train new lieutenants and non-commissioned officers in how to stay alive and keep their men alive. In 1967, he was assigned back to the 3rd Ranger Company as the senior instructor. In 1968, he was assigned back to South Vietnam F Company 58, Long Range Patrol 101st Airborne Division, as platoon sergeant responsible for conducting long-range patrols throughout South Vietnam. In 1969, he was again assigned to the 3rd Ranger Company, this time as Chief of Ranger Committee, responsible for the overall mission and to oversee the training of all the officers and non-commissioned officers in Ranger School for training. He held that position until his retirement in July of 1973. Whereas his awards and decorations include the Good Conduct Medal, 6th Award, the Combat Infantry Badge, the Expert Infantry Badge, the National Defense Service Medal with Oak Leaf Cluster, the Korean National Defense Medal, Bronze Star Medal, Vietnam Service Medal with Silver Star, Republic of Vietnam Campaign Medal with 60 device, Medal W60 device, Army Occupation Medal, Army Commendation, Medal with 2 Oak Leaf Clusters, Meritorious Unit Citation, Vietnam Cross of Gallantry with Palm, Vietnam Cross of Gallantry with Bronze Star, Meritorious Medal, Ranger Tab, Airborne Wings, Parachutist Badge, and Expert Badge Rifle. And Mr. Lockett is the 2nd African American to be elected to the Ranger Hall of Fame. Whereas Milton Lockett Jr. organized and spearheaded many community organizations to take the city back from the lawlessness elements in the city by partnering with Columbus Police Department. He found Carver Heights against drugs, organizing citizens to camp out in front of recognized drug houses. Mr. Lockett's community activism prompted other individuals to organize drug-fighting organizations and was awarded the Liberty Bell Award in Columbus for his community activism. Whereas Milton Lockett Jr. married his high school sweetheart, Mrs. Ida Clay Lockett. Together they had 1 son, Milton Lockett III, 3 grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren, and 2 great-great-grandchildren. Upon the passing of his first wife, Mr. Lockett met and later married his second wife, Mrs. Angela Davis Lockett. And from that marriage, he has a stepdaughter, Miss Tammy D. Pitts, and 2 granddaughters. Whereas the mayor, the city councilors, and the citizens of Columbus, Georgia, want to thank Mr. Milton Lockett Jr. for his exemplary service to his country and to the citizens of Columbus, Georgia. Now, therefore, the Council of Columbus, Georgia hereby resolves, we hereby commend and congratulate Milton Lockett Jr. for his exemplary life and express our deep appreciation for his service to his country and to the citizens of Columbus, Georgia. Move for adoption.
Second. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Congratulations on a life well lived. We're here to celebrate him today. Milton, we do want you to say a few words. That was a mouthful, and we appreciate Councillor Huff reading all of those accolades and medals, and he was a hero in addition, a hero to this country in addition to being a hero to this community. But we want to hear from you, those who knew him best and loved him.
Well, I thank you all for this great, great honor. You don't know what it means to me for you all to recognize my dad like that. To me, he's always been a hero. You know, he was more than a dad. As coming up, he raised me as a brother. We were very, very close. I spent more time at the ranger camps and training the Rangers than I did any other place except school. And I enjoyed it, really did. And my dad really loved this country. He loved this community. He loved the people in it. And there was nothing that he wouldn't do to make it better. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We want to recognize all the members of Citizens Against Drugs in Columbus. Milton Lockett was an incredible part of that, a force in that organization, as are all of you, and thank you for what you do. I want to recognize Councillor Mimi Woodson, who was very close with Milton Lockett, as were so many up here. Councillor Woodson.
Yes, thank you very much. Milton, thank you. Thank you for sharing your dad. I remember him, Miss Hennessy, Miss Bank, Reverend Phillips, and many, many of the young ladies, I would call you still young ladies, behind you, many of the members that are still there from the beginning, who's never lost that dream to take back their community. And the old perfect saying, up with hope, down with dope, a saying that would never die, that would always live. And to the new president, Reverend Robinson, you have big shoes to fill, but you have a great man and a great woman next to you, the Phillips, that will help you and guide you all the way. They've been on the ground for always. When people would turn their back, their faith would keep them going and going and going. And Mr. Lockett would keep them going. And Mr. Lockett would always, like you said, he'll let you know when he didn't like something. There was no doubt whatsoever. But he always had that smile. No matter rain or shine, he was always smiling and saying, thank you. Thank you for what you do. And now I say to you, the family, and not only just his son and his family, but to the Cat family, thank you. He'll always be in our heart. He'll always be with us. And the march continues. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well, we are so fortunate that he passed our way. Milton, we want to call you forward so we can shake your hand and provide you with this resolution. If the rest of you all would like to come around too, please feel free. We want to recognize you as well. Let's celebrate the life of Milton Lockett one more time, folks, with a round of applause. Let us know if there's anything we can do to help. Okay? Thank you for all you do. Oh, you're good to see you. Come see me sometime. Hey there, how you doing? Thank you, sir. Good to see you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Thanks for being here to honor him.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. Reverend Phillips, we couldn't run it without you. Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Thank you. You bet. Thank you for all you do.
Thanks for being here.
We see you out there in the field. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, sir, for all you do.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Good morning.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, you're right.
Thanks for being here. Good morning. Thanks for being here.
While we're working our way through the agenda, we want to recognize two special guests today. The Mayor Pro Tem has her granddaughters here, so I'm going to embarrass them by asking them to stand up, and I'm going to let the Mayor Pro Tem introduce them. Can you get the mic there? Let's see. Is it on? Okay, there we go. There we go.
Thank you, Mayor. I have with me Michaela, who is my firstborn grandchild, and Jasmine, her sister Jasmine. They're here babysitting me this week and having back problems.
Oh.
So they're taking care of Nana this week.
Well, good to see you all. So you can watch your grandmother see how it's done, so when you're in elected office, you'll know just how to do it. So thanks for being here with us. We'll try to keep it interesting for you. All right, so we'll go back to regular order and turn it over to our Assistant City Attorney, Lucy Sheftel, who's filling in for Clifton Fay today.
Good morning, Mayor and Councilors. We have no second readings to vote on today. We'll proceed to the first readings. The first is an ordinance providing for the levy assessment and collection of taxes for the public school system of Columbus. This is simply an ordinance that will ratify the 23.32 mill rate that was set by the school board and requested for us to adopt. That will be ready to come back for a vote on the 24th. Is there anyone in the audience who has any comments on this first reading? Seeing none, any councilor questions?
None at this time.
Again, that will be back for a vote on the 24th of July. The next first reading is a demolition for a couple of structures, and I believe John Hutchison will take us through those two.
Morning, Council. We decided to bring two properties that we've been dealing with for a while. One at 334 27th Street. I don't know if you remember Ms. Millsaps, who came in February. She came as we were still going through the process and moving forward with getting that property taken care of. And I have some people here from Bid Village Neighborhood Association dealing with 10 Beechwood Heights, which is a property we've also been dealing with for a while. Had some criminal activity and things like that. So we just wanted to go ahead, instead of waiting for the next batch, to go ahead and get these done and taken care of. So the first one here is Beechwood Heights. Criminal activity, we believe there was some type of meth lab or something that exploded and kind of messed the whole back of the house up. So we're trying to move forward with getting that one torn down. And the one at 334 27, that's next door to Ms. Millsaps that we've been dealing with for the last 2 years. Once Mr. Radney moved out of the property, that's when it became a vacant structure and we could move forward on it and getting it torn down. So that's pretty much all I have. I was just...
Okay. Any questions
Thank you,
of
Director
John?
Hutchison. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on the demolitions of these two structures? Please come forward, ma'am, and state your name and address for the record.
Good morning. My name is Ms. Millsap, and I live next door to the 334 27th Street address. Since I seen you a couple of months ago, I've gotten some death threats from the gentleman that's living in the yard, and I'm just here following up, trying my best to plead with you guys to please let this demolition go forward. It's just too much on me to live next door with the situation that's going on.
And ma'am, as we work through this, which we are doing, don't let your guard down related to calling the police should you get threats. They need to build that record. They need to know about that, okay?
Yes.
And I know what happens sometimes is people think, well, I'm not going to report that because I've already reported the problem to council. But we don't give you that same record that you need for when something like that happens. You've got to call the police and report it, okay?
Well, I was heading there once I left here this morning.
All right. Okay.
I'm just so tired of calling them. I'm going to go down there and see if I could speak with someone in reference to this gentleman, because he's mental health.
Yeah.
And I really don't know if he's meaning what he's saying.
Yeah, of
So,
course. And we just, like I said, it helps for him to get the help he needs too, and to keep you safe, for us to have a record of all of that, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And so I think, Councilor Woodson, did you have something? Councilor Woodson wanted to speak.
Thank you for coming. Rest assured, we're ready to vote on this. But I would also suggest, and then as I mentioned to you in previous conversations, you want to go to municipal court and put a restraining order, just to ensure, just like the mayor says, everything that you can have docket with the police department is very, very important.
Yes, ma'am.
And I thank you for standing up, for fighting to take your neighborhood back. That's what we need, more citizens to help us to stand up and fight for what they believe. So thank you very much. I do
thank you
appreciate
all.
it.
All right.
Thank you for coming, ma'am. Any other comments on the demolitions? Councilors have any questions on the demolitions? Yes, sir. Please come forward and state your name for the record.
Good morning. My name's Quincy Pitts. I live at 55 Joseph Court, Fortson, Georgia. On behalf of the property that is, I've just been kind of brought up to task on this. That Charlie Ratney is my uncle. The family has asked me to see if I could try to save the property. However, I know it's, the financial task is a lot more than the family is able to afford. My uncle has 3 daughters, 2 which is fighting cancer, and he himself is in a nursing home, and I have expressed my sympathy and sorrow for, I forget her name, Ms. Wilson. I talked to her yesterday, and I had a couple of contractors come out to try to look at the property to see if we can get it tore down. However, I don't feel like we have enough time, you know, with the funds that we have. But we do want to get it cleaned up, and like I said, I'm just trying to get a little time to get it cleaned up and tore down. I've already spent some money getting it cleaned up around there a little bit. I have a dumpster on site, have a permit pool to proceed with getting it tore down. I just don't know how much time I have, because I've just been aware of the letters that that my cousins have gotten. So anyway, I just wanted to express that and let them know that it is something happening. I don't know how much time I have. I got to get with them a little bit more. They're not able to come. And like I said, he's in a nursing home. I'm still trying to get caught up on the situation. I know it's a bad situation. It is terrible. And I'm absolutely sorry for what's happened to my uncle and to the neighbors around him. I just want to let that be known.
Sure. First of all, thank you for coming, and we know you have a difficult task here today. To tell you the truth, it's not unusual to have, when we have these types of extreme circumstances, that there's an absentee owner who's suffering with health problems and the types of things you've related. That's usually how something gets this far, you know, out of hand, is that there's some other stressors going on. As far as the time, it's not long, but I'll turn that over to either John or the city attorney to tell you that. And at this stage, it sounds like there's most probably nothing you can do to stop the demolition process, although I'll let them apprise you of what your options are. I also would advise, and John may be a better source, but until such time as the property is demolished, you might want to start maybe visit the marshal's office and see what can be done about the eviction of this particular individual. Now, I don't know the details, but you know, your family members being property owners, if there's someone who is this disruptive, you want them off your property. And so I don't know if he's a tenant or a squatter. So, but anyway, I throw that out for your consideration, and John may be able to advise you more. Lucy, do you know about the timing once council, should council approve this demolition, how quickly that happens? Or John, maybe?
Well, I think that's up to how the demolition list is progressing, which Director Hutchison would have to tell us. Occasionally, when someone has a plan to fix the problem in a certain number of days, a council will choose to move for a 30 or 60-day extension. That's really the only legal way to hold it up. But other than that, it depends on what order it is on the demolition list.
And I would say a delay is unlikely at this point, because it's been here for so long. I mean, this has been delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. So I don't speak for council, but I just want you to know that it's not that anybody's disrespecting you or not appreciating the tight spot you're in. It's because this has been here causing a community issue for so very long. So I would suspect that a delay is unlikely, but they've heard your request. John, did you have anything to say related to timing?
Typically, like I said, you all approved the second reading, and this is kind of the reason why I wanted to come to council, because I had been talking to Ms. Millsaps, and we'd had those issues, and I didn't want her to feel that we kept kicking the can down the road, that we're not moving forward with it, and it's not a serious concern, which it is. Like I said, he is representing the family, but he's not the official power of attorney. So
Right.
therefore, he was not getting any of these notices.
Right.
That's not necessarily on our concern on our end, but we are notifying the owner, and we're getting return. We already sent out certified letters, so we make sure we get it signed, that they received, and everything came back. At this point, if they were to come today, we would ask them to make sure that the contractor is on site and all those, I mean, it would have to be a lot further down the line than what it is, and you saw the pictures, and those are from just last week. So I would be against delaying it any further. I
Right.
mean, if the next 2 weeks we come back for second reading and that house is gone, then I'm like, well, hey, it's gone, and the city doesn't have to pay for it. But I didn't want to stop the process anymore or delay it any further.
Right. And the way, sir, I think you know what will happen most probably. I mean, you will, this will come back and council will vote on it in 2 weeks. And so, you know, should something miraculous happen and you be able to find a company or do whatever, then you'd have an opportunity to contact the city and say, hey, this miraculous thing happened. And certainly council would always reconsider. I don't think that's ever happened that I've been here for the last 8 years, because at this point it's such a steep hill to climb. But certainly you can take some time and try to see what your other options are. And John, is this a squatter situation or a renter situation or a family member?
You can speak on it.
Yeah,
It's your family.
it's my cousin.
Okay.
He's been somewhat homeless. We never knew where he was staying. We kind of found out that he's back and forth, you know,
Yeah.
through what do you call these little storage units, and
Yeah.
my uncle's house. He done put up some little lean-to sheds over on the
Right.
side. And,
Well, I didn't mean to pry.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I would just say that as you see, I'm just trying to be frank with you since you've
Yeah.
come all this way and make this time valuable for you. You probably have just a little bit of time, as you heard the city attorney say, because this just simply puts it on the list, and we have other houses we have to demolish. So you may have a little bit of time to find an alternative for your cousin
Is it
who's
2
struggling.
weeks? Is it 2 weeks?
2 weeks is to the second hearing.
Yeah, until the second hearing, but then you have, you know, a couple months until the house is actually demolished. So I just wanted to give you unsolicited advice to make good use of that time and try to find a place for your cousin, if you can. I know, it's a tough situation. So I would refer you maybe to New Horizons. If they can't help you, they might be able to suggest who might. So think about calling them. So we have a counselor that would like to be heard. Councillor Woodson.
Thank you. I'm so sorry for what you're going through, but I hope that you can understand the position we're in. There's a point that I wanted to make that the mayor didn't covered, and that is that if the city goes and demolish the property, a lien will be placed on the property. So if any of the family members wish to sell the property, that lien has to be paid before this property can be sold. And that's the land, once it's demolition. I didn't want you to think, okay, the city will tear it down and that's the end of the story, because it isn't. Because the money that we use belongs to the taxpayers, and we have to ensure that the taxpayers' money is spent wisely and returned back for whatever other property we need to demolition in the future. So I hope everything goes well for you and your family, and please try to find assistance for your cousin, because we don't want him to be in a worse situation, just being homeless, you know, with his medical issues. We want to make sure that everything's fine so the family itself can have peace, because I know it's a very stressful time for you. And my prayers go to you and your family. And I'm sorry we cannot delay it, but this has been going on too long, and the community is just ready for it to end.
Yeah, I'm going to have Carly come down and get your contact information, and we'll get you some information for adult services, for New Horizons, and also Home for Good. Maybe have some resources to refer you to prevent your cousin from actually becoming homeless. So we do have resources in this community, and now's the time for the family to reach out and let those resources help you. So thank you for being here today.
All right.
Okay?
Yes, we appreciate your coming in. The vote will take place at 5:30 on July 24th.
Councillor Walker, I'm sorry.
I want to speak to 10 Beechwood. I see my constituents in the back, and I want to save them the trip up here. 10 Beechwood is the one that's in Bibb City, and it's been burned out, but even though it's burned out, it's also, I did a walkthrough with our drug narcotic units, and they said they have issues with the houses there even burned down because people go stuff the drugs into there, and then you can't account it to the dealer, that kind of thing. But anyways, that's going to be a really positive move for Bibb City if we can get that property cleared.
Okay. So is that the next item, or what?
We already addressed it.
I'm sorry.
It was part of the demolition list.
Okay, I'm sorry, thank you. All right.
Anything else on either of the two properties? All right, they will come back for a vote on July 24th at 5:30. Our next first reading is a parking enforcement ordinance to take care of parking at the Annex building parking lot. There have been some issues with reserved spaces and handicap spaces, and Metro has asked for an ordinance that clearly authorizes them to enforce there. So that is on first reading for today. Any councilors have questions? Anyone in the audience wish to be heard on Metro parking enforcement? That will come back for a vote on July 24th as well. Next, we have a special exception allowing a personal care home type 2 at 2305 Amos Street. And I believe before we begin our hearing on that, Councillor Huff needs to request a recusal. Councillor Garrett, sorry.
Okay. Let's see, Councillor Garrett.
The petitioner is represented by a lawyer in my law firm, so I'd like to abstain from the vote if possible.
Okay. All right. We've got a motion to allow Councillor Garrett to abstain and a second from the Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor, please state aye. Aye. Okay.
All right. The property is zoned RMF1, residential multifamily 1, and the Planning Advisory Commission and the Planning Department recommend approval of the personal care home type 2. However, I believe staff would like to make some comments before council has some questions.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, members of council. We want to give you just basically a refresher here about personal care homes this morning and what they actually stand for. The issue has always been for the last several months, perhaps in the last couple of years, about dealing with personal care homes and the number of them and where they can go and things of that nature. You need to understand that based on a memo that the city attorney gave us back in about 2014, we can no longer distinguish really with personal care homes where they have 6 or less in a house. Anything that we had at that time had a special exception requirement that would allow us to go out and notify the neighbors, ask them to come to council. Council got to vote on it up or down and went from that standpoint from that. That went by the wayside because according to the city attorney's office, we were in violation of the Fair Housing Act when we tried to impose that. So anything really 6 or less now just automatically goes into a neighborhood. And keep in mind also, though, that they have to maintain the residence as a residence. They cannot alter it in any way. It has to basically maintain the same quality of housing in the neighborhood itself. It cannot be distinguished differently in any other way. I say that to say this because this request here this morning, my understanding is they were operating and have been operating as a personal care home, but they had more than 6 actually individuals in the house. And when it came to our attention, we required them at that point to come back and come into compliance with the ordinance. Because anything really between 7 and 18, you do have some authority over in terms of issuing a special exception for that. They're asking for a personal care too, because they do have more than 6 individuals proposed to go into the building itself. I'll let the applicant go into more detail about what they're asking for on that. What we look at, though, from the planning department standpoint is the special exception requirements, which deals again with things like the lighting, the parking, handling of trash, and so forth and so forth and so forth and on with that issue itself. That's what we're trying to achieve here. I want to let you understand again. The reason they're here this morning is because they do have more than 6 individuals, and they're in that category really between 7 and 18. which is a personal care type 2 situation, and they have to come for you. We look at it again from the standpoint of what the special exception requirements are under the Unified Development Ordinance, and adhere to that. That's what we base our recommendation on. I will let you know also at the same time, there are some concerns from the neighbors out there. We've had at least 2 direct contacts. Both of them are concerned about property values. The second one we received really has more of a petition. It actually has 3 on here that are concerned about their property values, about decreasing the value of their property in the area and things of that nature. So those are the concerns we have. But I wanted to again kind of give you that little primer about what's going on here and why this particular case is coming before you, and because again of the type 2 category. So with that, Madam Mayor, I'll yield and let the applicant come forward.
All right, we have...
Thank you, Director Jones.
Yeah. We have several councilors in queue. Ms. Sheftel, if you want to hear them first or after the
All
applicant.
right, would the applicant like to come forward first? Yes, sir, please state your name and address.
My name is Greg Johnson. I work with a Finley firm. My client is KBW Homes. The owner of KBW Homes is Mr. Timothy Crumbly, who's seated here behind me. KBW Home was started in 2003, and what it does is it provides housing for young men ages 8 to, I believe it's 8 to 21 years old, that have been subject to neglect, abuse, or have been in the juvenile justice system of Georgia. And KBW Homes, it does more than just provide housing. It provides tutoring, provides counseling, it provides education opportunities and life skills. And Mr. Crumbly with KBW Homes houses about 38 young men across 5 different locations in the city. There's one location that's actually being built right now. The property at 2305 Amos Street, it is zoned as RMF1 with the approved use as personal care home type 1. Unfortunately, due to some I guess clerical errors, my client was under the mistaken belief that it was that there was an approved use as personal care home type 2. He was wrong in that fact. However, whenever he discovered that he was wrong in that fact, he came to our firm and started the proceedings that led us here today. And what we're asking is for the special exception to be granted so that we can use this home as a personal care home type 2. With personal care home type 1, he can only have up to 6 individuals in the home. This will allow him to have more individuals than just 6. He actually has 10 individuals in the home right now. Granting this special exception actually wouldn't change how the home is used right now. It would just merely bring it into compliance with what Mr. Crumbly is already doing. I do believe that one of the complaints or questions that were raised had to do with parking in the area. However, just wanting to assuage the council of that complaint, none of the young men actually have vehicles, so parking should not be an issue. Are there any other questions about the property?
Yes, there's several lined up. Let's see here. We've got Councillor Huff.
Good morning, Attorney Johnson.
Morning.
Excuse me. First thing I wanted to do was to say to Mr. Crumbly, there's not a problem with the situation with me this morning. I spoke with your attorney yesterday and told them that I think you followed the procedures the way you were supposed to. I just had some questions from my staff this morning. I continue to request information ahead of time, and I got this information in my packet on Friday, and the information in my packet said that they had 60 letters that were mailed out, 1 complaint, and this morning I hear there's 2, 3, 4 complaints, and I'm just asking, please, 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 if Director Jones, I can talk directly to you on this issue. Director Jones.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. not to come at staff this morning. I'm just requesting, please, when these situations come up, my notes said that it came out of PAC somewhere around the first part of June, and I had no idea until Friday. And I'm just asking if you could just notify me ahead of time so that I can get over into the neighborhood. And, you know, I would have loved to have spoken to the 2 or 3 people to see what their complaints were. But I spoke with Attorney Johnson yesterday, and he was very kind in trying to answer all of my questions. And I was trying to, my concern was, you spoke earlier on the type 1, type 2, you know, the different types. And that's what I was missing at the time. You know, it was type 2. I didn't quite understand what the special exception was. I rode through the neighborhood yesterday to take a look at everything. And now I know it's because it's more than 6. I thought it was a situation where he was just beginning and it was more than 6. So I'm just asking, I wanted him to know that I'm not here to raise the red flag. I think I saw people over yesterday, group that had been cleaning up and doing a lot of work, vans and different things, and the trash was well picked up and everything. And I know it's necessary, but when the constituents have some complaints, whether it's 1 or 3, I would really like to have time to talk with them and let them know the process is, if we had 60 letters mailed out and everyone received their letters and 57 were okay with it, then I'm sure we are okay with it. But I just need time to get out and talk, you know, other than the packet coming to me, and then I'm here this morning. He had to come this morning and, you know, to make sure, but, you know, if he had had something else to do, he could have sent his attorney. I could have talked to his attorney yesterday to say that I've had time to go out, speak with my constituents. I've had time to speak with council. Everything's fine. You can go on to your other meeting. So if you would, just please give me a heads up and let me know so I don't get blindsided.
Councilor Huff, we'll certainly do that. The one we had with the 3 complaints, you should know, came in yesterday.
Okay.
So we could not properly notify you. I guess we could have made a better effort, and we will in the future. But just to let you know, the one we had the petition for the 3 comments, we got yesterday morning itself.
Yeah. So. Well, like I said, I don't want to beat up on staff. I love you all. I appreciate all that you do. And so, what I really need is, in these type of homes and deals, I need you just to let me know that it exists. Certainly. When it comes out of PAC, because Director Hutchinson came to a meeting to get me out of the lion's den about a month or 2 ago. I had another neighborhood up in arms. We had about 30 people at a meeting, and they, you know, just wanted my hide. So I just want information so that I can get you all to back me up and help me through the process.
Okay.
Thank you.
Will.
Okay. We have Councillor Woodson.
Mr. Jones, just want to have a clear understanding, because my understanding of a personal home care is different than what I just got educated this morning. That can also be a boys' group home. The category of it being a personal care home and it being more than 6, shouldn't that be something else? Because I thought personal care homes cannot be more than 5 individuals or 6.
No, ma'am. What the definitions we have under the UDO follow in compliance with state law, and what the state does in terms of regulating on personal care home and so forth. So we follow that and try to make sure that they marry up with each other. So that's why you really have 3 different classifications here. You have a type 1, type 2, and a type 3.
Can you tell us the difference in all 3?
Well, the type 1, like I said, is 6 or less. Type 2 goes 7 to 18. Then 18, anything over 18 is a type 3. And those go in special zone classifications themselves. And they also require special exception use as well. It's only those that are considered a type 1, which is 6 or less, that we really no longer regulate through this body.
And then the assisted living, then, what would that be?
I'm sorry?
Assisted living, what would that be then?
So that falls in a different category itself.
Completely different?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I just wanted
Yes,
the
ma'am.
clarification. And on the parking issue that the complaint was made, how many staff members are there? Is it the parking issue because of staff? How often is the staff there? How many staff members and how often?
The staff members actually operate on, I believe, 8-hour shifts around the clock, so that the boys are always chaperoned, and I believe that there are always 2 staff members there at all times.
Okay. And I just wanted to address the parking issue, and that addresses it for me. I was thinking we were having like 4 or 6 different cars, and, you know, we're limited on parking spaces, so I was just wondering if that was it. But, okay, thank you.
Yes, and I also know that sometimes there might be a fear that there might be too many young men going into the home. For every person that goes into the home, Mr. Crumbly actually has to apply to the state for funding for that person. And whenever he does that, a representative from the state will come down, inspect the properties, and make sure that there is enough room. He has no plans right now to put any more than 10 people in this home.
Well, it would be smart of him not to put more than 10 anyway, because if the objective is to help the young men and prepare them, the more individually assistant they can get, the better. Sometimes I have problems with, you know, nursing homes and other assisted livings that I visit because of that. You need to keep the ratio where you are providing quality care and quality time. Like I tell single moms all the time, I was a single mom twice, it's not how much time you spend with them, it's the quality of time that you spend with an individual.
Yes, ma'am.
And just room for a suggestion. Thank you.
And we have Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. I think everybody knows I have a background in this area, experience and knowledge both. I do have multiple concerns. I think there ought to be limitations in what I would call a group home with these children, and especially with the needs that they have. I'm a little concerned about this, so as far as the limitations, that does concern me, and that's a priority as far as my decision making.
All right, we have Councillor Baker.
Mr. Jones, what's the square footage there?
Councillor Baker, I'm working off memory here. I think we looked at it was in the 2,300 square feet, a little bit more than that, the building. I don't know. Do y'all have an actual number?
21.
Approximately 2,200 square feet.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any limitations as far as number of residents versus square footage?
That is an issue I think that the applicant and the state have to work through on that in terms of making that determination. We don't have any control under. I'm not trying to dodge the issue.
No,
we don't have any
understand.
control under the special exception. There's no requirement that says we need to look at that. I mean, that is always a concern in terms of how many I guess applicants or clients they may have, where they can easily accommodate those in this building adequately and make sure it's not a health issue at the same time.
Most of the area looks RMF, residential multifamily.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
But is this a single-family home? Is it an apartment or duplex? What type of, exactly what is it?
An apartment or duplex could certainly go in this area as well, along with a single-family residence at the time.
But what do we have here?
We have a single-family residence at this time.
Okay, thank you.
That looks to be it at this time. Oh, wait, we've got, hold on a second. We have Councillor Huff.
And how many bedrooms, bathrooms?
There are 4 bedrooms in the home. There are 2 bathrooms.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Mayor, at this time, if anyone from the public and the audience would like to speak to this issue, this would be the time for them to come forward. Does not appear to be anyone. If there's a motion, it can be ready for a vote at this point.
Okay.
Move for approval.
Okay, we've got a motion. Is there a second? There's a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none, if you'd please record your votes electronically. All right. And it's inconclusive. We are missing 2 counselors, so we can bring it back in 2 weeks. So with the abstention and the absence of the 2, obviously, you know, you're working with smaller numbers, so it's math in the end. So why don't you come back in 2 weeks? Can we do it that way?
I'll be back at,
Okay.
on July 24th at 5:30, Mr. Johnson.
And maybe, too, you've heard some of the concerns, and perhaps you can talk with a few folks and see what happens. So, all right, thank you all. Yes, so let's see, we've got, hold on a second, Councillor. Can you turn on Councillor Baker's?
Councillor Huff.
Okay.
So they can, yeah. If you come up with any other information or anything we need to know, if you'd let us know in the meantime, if you have any type of change of heart or how you feel about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will.
Okay.
All right. Those are all of our agenda items for today. We are going to need to request executive session. There's some matters to cover pertaining to litigation, security plans, and property acquisition, as well as personnel.
Okay. All right, we will get to that in the end then. And we're going to go into our public agenda. And first, we're calling forward Miss Mary Brooks, who would like to speak to us related to a neighbor. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Oh, yeah, you all are on the city manager's agenda. Do we want to? Yeah, let's see. Let's do this. Let's call forward the Westville off the city manager's agenda. I think it's perfunctory. Hopefully it won't take very long, and we can let some folks get back to work. I know everybody's schedule is precious, but I do believe this will take less than a minute or two, so we'll do that very quickly. And we'll recognize our Deputy City Manager, Pam Hodge, who's sitting in for the city manager today.
Thank you, Mayor. This is item on the city manager's agenda. This is a request to extend the memorandum of agreement through November 30th of 2018 for them to begin their normal operations. They also have advised that they will be open Wednesday through Sunday, as opposed to their original submission, which was Thursday through Saturday. So they are extending their hours Wednesday through Sunday, and I'll defer to Westville for additional comments.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and City Council. My name's Rob Chapa. I'm the Executive Director of Historic Westville. And I'd like to thank all of you for having Westville as part of your city. We hope to be able to start operations at the end of August in accordance with our memorandum of agreement. We are not going to be able to open all of the buildings at that time due to construction, but all but 4 will be ready at that time. The 4 that won't be open are the Chattahoochee County Courthouse, the Billingsley House, the McDonald House, and possibly the Grimes House. All the rest will be ready for opening, and we are asking for our hours to be extended from Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon.
And let's see, we have Councillor Whitson has a question.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being here today and your request. I am the council representative for that area. I don't see an objective with changing the time frame, but I would ask if you would please come back or get with me or something to do a presentation where we act. We have not heard in a long time. If we want Westville to be successful, we need the public to understand its mission, its objective, and its concept. And many times when I've mentioned it, people would say to me, "What is that? I've never heard of it." So I think your marketing needs to be a little better, and I think with you coming to present to us where we are and where we're going so far will be very helpful, not only to me as a district representative, but to the public and to your organization's success. So I ask that you come back on a
Yes, ma'am.
public agenda or a work session, a quick little brief, and educate not only the council itself, but the citizens out there so that you can be more productive and more successful.
We'll gladly come back for a work
you.
session, and we'd like to invite you for a private tour of the historic Westville at your convenience.
Bob knows how to get a hold of me.
Thank you.
All right. There is no further conversation. Can we get a motion to approve? Is there a second? All those in favor, please state aye. Are there any opposed? Okay, it does pass. Thank you. All right. Thank you all so very much for what you do. Yes?
Point of privilege. I'd
Yes.
personally like to thank you all for that. And I think it's a great idea to have Westville come back in executive session and says, whenever you all want that, Ms. Pam, I guess, can authorize that, and we'll be back. But I'd like Colonel Chopper to introduce some of the key staff members, too.
Okay, great.
Yes, I'm very sorry. I have J.B. Shattuck, who's my Chief of Operations, Plans, and Training. Tara Martinez is our Administrative and Finance Director, and Mayor Poitashev is a board member and our council. So, thank you.
Wonderful. Well, you've got a great team. Thank you all very much, and appreciate all you're doing. Look forward to getting you back. We have a work session in July, so the last Tuesday in July, so maybe it'll be sooner than later.
Thank you, Madam.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to go back now and get our important public agenda folks up. We had Mary Brooks. I called Miss Brooks. Is she here? Okay, I don't see Miss Brooks. If she comes in before we close out the public agenda, we will have her be heard. Next, we have Miss Pat Frey, representing a continuum of care, and we'd ask Miss Frey to come forward. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. I have these.
If you would just state your name and address, please.
Pat Frey, 1100 Fifth Avenue, Columbus. Thank you. I won't take a lot of your time. I just wanted to publicly announce to this body and to those in the city that next Tuesday afternoon, we will be hosting the Continuum of Care's Bidders Conference for our annual HUD competitive grant process. It's required that we publicly notify everyone in the community that we will be doing this competition. It's a grant process that takes about 6 weeks to put together. We have about $1.5 million on the table for our community, which we're in a unique situation as we cross state lines in our continuum of care, so that's Russell and Muscogee County. We have new bonus projects that are available through HUD this year for those who are fleeing domestic violence or stalking. So next Tuesday afternoon, again, beginning at 2 o'clock at the United Way, 1100 Fifth Avenue. Anyone who is interested, who is a 501c3 and who has been in business for at least a year and is in good standing with all the federal, state, and local authorities is invited to come and participate in our workshop, and we'll be getting information on how they can file the application through our continuum of care.
Great, thank you. So now, did you say you're going to need volunteers for this?
We don't need volunteers for the workshop? No, no.
Okay.
We do need volunteers later in the year for some other projects we have going on.
Because we get a lot of calls for volunteers, so I want you and others to know that if a lot of calls for people wanting to volunteer, so
Simply
just
forward
let
them
us
to
know
us.
when that
Absolutely.
time comes. We've got a list of folks eager to help. So,
Absolutely.
Okay?
Wonderful. Thank you again.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you for all you do. All right, next we have Ms. Teresa Alameen, who's representing the Southern Anti-Racism Network, and she'd like to speak to us about an open records update and the upcoming SPICE event. Good morning.
Good morning. I have a couple of handouts. So
Okay.
Lindsay, could you help me? Oh, yeah. It's two different docs. Thank you. Well, Lindsay is handing out a flyer for the back to school pancake breakfast fundraiser. You know, Columbus is such a great town. And I do have something personal I want to say to you, Madam Mayor, when I finish this. But Bonefish did a fundraiser for the SPICE program on April 26th. And Chili's is doing a pancake breakfast fundraiser And so it's pancakes and bacon, they said. And the tickets are just $5, and I do have your tickets right here. You know, the way that Chili's gives back, they say to nonprofits that you sell all the tickets you want to sell, we'll cook the pancakes and provide all the food. We'll open up early, and so they'll open up at 8 o'clock on August 4th in order to allow us to bring everybody in for the pancake breakfast. So I'm selling 150 tickets, so I do have a few left. So I'll be glad to supply anybody who's interested. It should be a great time. The management is very excited about giving back for the SPICE program to the community. And I find that in this city, there's a lot of that kind of generosity. As a matter of fact, last night, Councillor Huff was at the school board meeting taking a picture with a big check from the W.C. Bradley Company for the STEAM Center. And that was very exciting that that will be in his district, in District 3. The other handout that you have, since Ms. Woodson, at the last time I spoke here, was trying to explain to Mr. Allen about the SPICE program, and I really appreciate her support because we are raising money as fast as we can to launch the SPICE program. The SPICE program will be giving away computers to low-income families in the lowest performing schools, and that white sheet that you have is a parent survey, and that kind of gives you a sense of what the parents are being asked. And so the goal is that the principals at all of those low-performing schools, which includes Thomas Brewer, Martin Luther King Jr., and Dorothy Height, the majority of students at those schools are failing. And so it's very important that, given the teacher shortage and all the things that are going on, the Muscogee County School District is in real trouble. And we learned that last night at the school board meeting. They're short 84 teachers. And they're coming up with all kinds of ways of trying to address that. And the Muscogee County School District prison pipeline is very real. And I'll talk about that when I give the update on the open records. But I do want you to know that we appreciate all the support that we're getting to launch the SPICE program. And if I could just quickly introduce the trainer who's going to be teaching the parents the curriculum that the Muscogee County School District provided, Dr. Idana Alexandria, who has lots of experience in this field and education credentials. And we're so excited that she's willing to work with us. And we're trying to raise all the money we can as fast as we can. So I look forward to giving regular updates about this, because an ad will go in the paper next week looking for parent teachers, because the parents who will be teaching the other parents and their children will earn $15 an hour. It's not a lot of money, $360 over 6 weeks for each parent. So that's the plan. Now I'd like to segue to give an update on the open records request. And I just want to say, if I could, that a special commendation to Marcia Smith. You know, people talk so bad sometimes about Columbus, and I don't understand it. There's a lot of good going on here. And one of the best things about Columbus is the staff you have. Not a lot of staff. I think you need more. You need more workers that are paid workers. And you know what I'm talking about. But these are the records that I got from Miss Marcia Smith. I did pay the $82.94. And on my birthday, June 27th, when I turned 70 years old, I have gotten very old in this town, but I'm now 70 years old after over 7 years of being here. And she came down to my car because the government center is kind of messed up. And so she brought it down to my car from that other new entrance. And I just want to tell you that these are the records from the high schools where children were charged as adults. And I mean the 17 and 18-year-olds. And in these records, these students have court dates, they have judges, they have prosecutors assigned to their cases. And it's a whole bunch. I'm still going through the records. So that's how the Muscogee County School District Prison Pipeline works. Now, I just requested the new records, because this is only for September to February. So on Friday, I got the new records. So I'll be putting in another request for the August, March, April, May. And I can tell you it's even more arrests. March was a very bad month, very bad month. So now Kendrick, which had the highest number of arrests, is switched to Baker. So Baker is now the school with the highest number of arrests for the whole school year. So we need programs like SPICE, because we need to get to them early, and we need their parents involved early. And many of the parents who have students in elementary school also have students in middle schools and high schools. So this is really working together for the benefit of the city. And I have 3 minutes left, and I just want to say to you, Madam Mayor, I've been here the whole time you've been mayor. When I first saw your picture on the Columbus Times and you were surrounded by all those black women, I said to somebody, oh, Columbus has a black mayor, a black woman mayor. She set me straight. But what I have noticed about you the whole time is how much you love this city. And it's hard being a mayor. It's hard. Some people call it a glorified cop these days. I know you're head of public safety, but I see how much you love this city. And I am so amazed at how much people talk down Columbus. It is just the craziest thing. And they've been here a lot longer than you and I. And they talk it down. But I just want to say to you, that letter that you give to the mayor-elect, Skip Henderson, about what you coulda, shoulda, woulda done, be bold. Be bold. Because I watch what you tried to do around the property tax freeze. You know, when you see something that's wrong, you got to just cut it out. You can't have to. And you know, I talked to you about this. It needs to be gone. It's not sustainable. If you want to do the kind of things that are going to make this city great, you have to get that from property taxes. That's what cities do. And this is the strangest thing to me. The prison labor, and this is a little bit of a criticism, the prison labor is going to go away. It's going to go away. And I think the city is not really prepared for that. It's just a matter of time. Because that arc of the moral universe, it does bend towards justice. And the state of Georgia will not be allowed to continue the work camp slavery. There are 25 of them around the state of Georgia, but none of them turn out more than about 20, according to the research I did. Here, you turn out about 400. This city can't operate without prison labor. You've got to start planning for it to go away. And not enough was done. Because I started talking to you about this in 2012 when I got the first turnout sheets. It's going to go away. And so in these few months you got left, think of what you could have, would have, should have done. And tell Mayor-elect Skip Henderson, be bold. Because my experience in a tough town like this, you got to be consistent, you got to be bold, you can't quit, you got to be tenacious. And I just want to say that to you. Love you so much.
Well, thank
and
you.
I see the great job that you've done and tried to do, but it's a tough town.
Well, thank you
It's a
very
tough
much.
town.
And I think that I omitted to ask you to state your name and address. You don't
Oh,
have to get
I
the
am
house
so
number, but
sorry.
the street, I just, yeah, when you
Oh,
got up,
yeah,
I just
for the
omitted.
record,
Yep.
For the record, Teresa Elamine, 3911 Steam Mill Road.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next we have Miss Audrey Holston Palmore, who wants to speak with us about a meeting request. Good morning. And if you would state your name and address too, please.
Good morning, selected and elected officials, as well as the citizens of Columbus, Georgia. I am Audrey Holston Palmore. My address is 1035 Lawyers Lane, Columbus, Georgia, 31906. I will not be sharing my verbal cell phone numbers nor my house number, telephone number. Will I get the 10 minutes this time that I got last time?
Yes, everyone gets 10 minutes.
It's on 4 right now.
That's because it's in 5-minute increments.
Okay, thank you so much. I first want to offer my reaction and concern to my previous opportunity to speak on the public agenda. At the end of my presentation, Mayor Tomlinson made a statement regarding my appearing at the mayor office on the 6th floor located in the Government Center. Mayor Tomlinson stated that I came to the mayoral office unannounced and that I spent an unreasonable amount of time there. Mayor Tomlinson made the statement that I did not have an appointment there, and this happened on June 12th, 2018, that these statements were made. I, at the end, attempted to make a statement in regards to that statement, the allegations of Mayor Tomlinson. But I was told that my time was up, and so I first wanted to do some house cleaning regarding that. And since the mayor made those statements, and those statements have not been proven in regards to me coming there unannounced and me spending an unreasonable amount of time in the office, I want the public to know that those were false statements because she made them against me, and I know what I do. I'm very conscientious of what my actions are. So therefore, I'm requesting that Mayor Teresa Tomlinson will spend more time being positive, especially about Audrey Holston Palmore and my responses or reactions within city government as I move around the city. So on the next public agenda, the 1st of August, I would appreciate if she would provide evidence correctly concerning the date, the time, and any witness that she can possibly find to say that I came to the mayor's office, spent an unreasonable amount of time there. And as I stated, when I came into the office, I did not ask for Teresa Tomlinson. I did not see Teresa Tomlinson. And I did invest my time in reading information, particularly from the Columbus Ledger Inquirer. So I just wanted to do a little house cleaning on that and that I will look forward to the report that she comes up with, because I will sign up for public agenda the first time that they have one in August to hear her report. Moving forward, as we have stated, and on the June 12th agenda, 2018, when I appeared, for the same reason that I'm here today, which is to address the fact that since December 2017, at the East Columbus Middle School, I made an attempt to talk with the mayor in regards to a concern I had in regards to a police, they call it case number report, and actually it's police report. And the case number report again is 17013211-00001. I'm very concerned about meeting with the public safety director, the hat that Teresa Tomlinson also wears. When she was elected mayor, she also serves as the public safety director. And I've had some concerns about the report, and I'm still here with a concern about having a meeting with the composer of the report. And just like any other position that a person of authority has, me as a mother at my home, me as an educator in the classroom in which I serve, I'll just say a pastor over the congregation served, or like doctor over capacity serving patients. If there is a complaint, then someone has to come forward who has the authority to investigate the concern that is being placed before, or the complaint that is being placed before. I'm here out of concern because I have read and reread and read several times the case report filed by the Columbus police officer, and I've made several attempts to contact the particular Columbus police officer. And when it came time to have a talk with the mayor, I learned that the mayor was also serving as the public safety director. And so that's why I'm making an appeal to the public safety director, Teresa Tomlinson, before council, because I know all of you all are elected officials concerned about making Columbus a good city to live in. Different people have different ideas about Columbus, but no matter where I would live, I would want to be treated fairly. And I'm coming because I want this generation and future generations to know, no matter where you live, you have the right to be treated in a humane manner, and that the people that you entrust to protect you in your interests of day-to-day living can be found in city government. And I'm ready to move forward with a meeting, and I'm hoping that today the letter that I sent to Teresa Tomlinson could possibly be answered. The letter simply states that I am concerned about receiving a written verification document that will enable me to schedule my time to accommodate a meeting that you are willing to have. And it must be stressed that the composer of the case report be present. That is my reason for being here today, and it is my hope that a meeting will be held in a timely manner, because now it's going into the 7th or 8th, at least this 8th month or 7th month since December 2017 that I've made this request.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Pellhorn.
I hope you all continue to have a good day.
Thank you. All right, next we have Mama Love, who would like to talk with us about our Veterans Day request and public agenda process and procedure recommendations. And Mama Love, you will get 10 minutes. Okay?
Thank you, baby.
It's going to be in 2 5-minute increments, so that's why it may go off. I think that was the confusion last time. As the buzzer went off, you thought it was time and it wasn't a full 10 minutes. And I reset it again, but I thought you were done. Okay, and that's what the confusion was. So
Yeah, that's why
this time I'll wait for you to say, I'm done. How about that?
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you.
You got, well, my name is Mama Love, and I don't mind giving anybody my address because look like bad people find my address anyway. So maybe by me giving it here today, some good people find my address. They find celebrities' address and they don't give it out. So my address is, I prayed for a shack, but God gave me a mansion. And I told somebody, I said, I'm praying for a shack because I don't want to rent from these people no more. I got bad houses over and over. I'm praying for a shack. And the man said to me, Mama Love, God ain't going to give you no shack. God going to give you a mansion. And I bust out and laughed real loud, like the lady in the Bible. But anyway, God did give me a shack. And I thank him. He put me in, he gave me a mansion. He put me in that mansion this year. I slept in it for the first time, thanks to God, on Good Friday. My address is 4723 20th Avenue here in Columbus, Georgia. And I'm still trying to find out about getting some address on my house and address on the curb. When I was in Montgomery, Alabama, they had people come out and you could pay them an amount. And citywide, they put these addresses on the curb that showed up at night. When the fire department came by or the police department came by, they were real pretty, and they showed up bright colors at night. And I was inquiring, did y'all have some here? But so far, I haven't found them. But I celebrate, I know that celebration for National Black History is, we all know, the shortest month of the year. But I celebrate all kinds of history. So I want to share this with you. These are some of my mentors. I have other mentors like Mother Teresa. It wasn't big enough to get everybody on here that I have, but I want to share this with you. And also, I want to share with you this one, because I have to remind myself. Sometimes I run to the wrong person, so I have to remind myself, you know. And then I want to talk about, I'm kind of concerned because I was trying to look at the city council meeting for last month, and I had to look at 3 different segments. I found me on one segment, then it went on and broke up, and then I found Miss Elamine. I hope I pronounced it right, I'm sorry. That's why I call people baby and sweetheart, so I won't mess up their names. And then I found another segment, but that was the first time I found 3 different segments, but at one section where we was at last month, and I was just wondering what happened. Okay, and I'm still want to talk about having Veterans Day celebration, parade, and all that good stuff on the right day, the day that it's supposed to be on. But I'm still hoping that one day y'all put it on the right day. Y'all celebrate us on the right day, you know, because I probably would be talking about this. I said, God gonna give me 120 years, y'all, to be around here doing his work. So I'll probably be talking about this until y'all change it, make some kind of ordinance or something, and let's celebrate when it's supposed to be celebrated. Well, the other thing I wanted to talk about was when we come before you, we have to have so many, we have a time limit to run in that office. And this time it was very hard for me to get in the office because I parked one place and I had to walk another place, and I walked on around. I got my exercise, y'all. I got my exercise. And anyway, I got in and I made it in time, thanks to God. But we do all of that. But then I wanted to just want you to think about. I want you to think about how we do all that. We spend our time, we think about everything we want to say. And then I was hoping maybe you consider when we come in and we put in this little piece of paper here and tell all what we're going to talk about, I was wondering if you'll think about maybe considering that the people, you people, that represent us, would get that as soon as maybe you got a box somewhere and she could put it in there, and then you'll know what we're going to talk about. Then you have time to, find out about these different things, and you have some good things to tell us when we come here to make our talk shorter. I was hoping y'all do that, And then I was hoping also, I take time to try to think about what I want to talk about because the time is so short. And I thank you so much, Mayor, for giving us 10 minutes because, that's a gift, that's a blessing. And I thank you for it, Mayor. I appreciate the 10 minutes. I want you to also think about, if you got that in advance, what we're going to talk about, y'all will have time, too, to go somewhere and find out about that item and stuff. And then you can pay more attention to us when we're talking because naturally, after we talk about these things, y'all get to talk about them, too, And that way you won't have to be talking while we're talking, giving us your undivided attention by listening to us. And maybe if y'all implement the policy where you have a box somewhere and she could put that in the box and y'all could pick it up and y'all have all this time before we get here. The research, I just want you to think about that, And I'm getting short. I found out yesterday that I know Montgomery, Alabama, all parts of Alabama, and Columbus, Georgia, and Georgia. I didn't know y'all was this intertwined, And I found out Montgomery have a system where if I'm at a court case, I can go there and I can get a copy of everything on this little disc, what happened in that court. I can hear myself talk, I can hear the other person talk, I can hear the attorney talk, and I can listen to that. I can buy a copy of that. That's revenue for them. I want y'all to maybe just think about it. Get with Alabama and seeing what all they got and how they do that. One thing I'm concerned about still is putting people out on the streets in these court cases. And then they can't go there and get that same thing you can get in Alabama and put it in there. They can hear themselves talk. They can hear the attorney talk. They can hear everybody else on that case talk. Because when you throw people out in the street, you're throwing children out. You're throwing family out. But y'all, you ain't got to invent every wheel. You can copy. It's good to copy off Alabama. Y'all copy off Alabama and other things. I just want y'all to think about these things. And I love you. I love you. And last, real quick, this is for everybody who think God can't use them. No matter how big or how little you are, baby, God can use you because it's not your strength. It's His strength. It's His strength. And this is for everybody that think they are nobody. Hey, like the song said, I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about the Lord. Honey, God can use anybody. You let God use mustard seed of faith. You become number one in God's strength. And I thank you all. I thank you so much.
Thank you, Mama Love. We so appreciate you coming today.
Oh, I had these for y'all. I had enough for everybody, but some people want them,
Well,
so
we'll
I
get-
gave them to you. Can I give them to you?
Yeah, we'll
Whatever
get 'em.
left, y'all have, and y'all know how to share. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. We appreciate you. All right. That concludes our public agenda. And so we'll move on now to the city manager's agenda. And I told the press that we would move up John Hutchinson's report because they're waiting. But I tell you, I don't think there's anything that's going to take a very long time. So we're going to try to run through this. If we hit a snag and councilors want to get into some deep discussion, then we will move that and try to, so you guys can make your deadlines. But we're going to turn it over to Pam Hodge, our Deputy City Manager, sitting in for the City Manager today.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First on the City Manager's agenda is Winton Road Master Plan Supplemental Agreement Number 1. This is only to extend our agreement with Georgia Department of Transportation to December 31, 2019. It currently is set at December 31, 2018, and although we think we're going to meet that date, this is just a precautionary measure to make sure that all the paperwork and reimbursement requests, we have plenty of time to submit those. So it's just a precautionary measure to extend the date of this agreement.
Okay. We have Councillor Huff.
So no change in plans, just a change of dates.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Move for approval.
Got a motion and second for approval. It appears there's no further discussion, so you may record your votes electronically. And it passes.
Next item is the FY19 Georgia DOT Transportation Planning Contract. This is an annual contract that funds our transportation planning division of the planning department. The city's contribution is 20%, which is $67,054, and this funds the Columbus Phoenix City Metropolitan Planning Organization.
Is there a motion? Okay, we've got a motion for approval. Is there a second? And there's a second. There appears to be no further discussion. You may record your votes electronically. Okay, and it does pass.
Next item on the agenda is the request to authorize declaration of 5 fire trucks and 2 ambulances as surplus by the Columbus Fire and EMS Department. These vehicles include a 2002 fire truck, which will be donated to Fort Perry Fire Department, a 2000 fire truck, which will be, and also a 2005 ambulance, which will be donated to the O'Neill Volunteer Fire Department in Tarleton, a 1998 ladder truck, and a 2000 fire truck, which will be donated to Caseta, Chattahoochee County Volunteer Fire Department, and a 2006 fire truck to be donated to the Richland Volunteer Fire Department.
Okay, we've got a motion and second for approval. There appears to be no further discussion. So if you would, please record your votes electronically. Did you want to hit your button there? Okay, and it does pass.
Next item on the agenda is the Retired Senior Volunteer Program, the RSVP program. This is a grant There is no city match. It will be a match of in-kind services of $40,000.
Okay, we've got a motion and second for approval, and there's no further discussion, so you may record your votes electronically. Let's see, somebody needs to hit it one more time. Councillor Davis, can you hit put a little, there you go. Got it. And it does pass.
Next item on the agenda is the closure and abandonment of Falcon Street. Falcon Street is a small section of 128 feet, more or less, that has a dead-end street at the driveway for 5622 Fairchild Drive. No other driveways exist on this short section of road. The adjoining property owner has provided a statement that he is not interested in this road. We were unable to determine if this road was officially accepted by the city back from 1956. But it is just a small section of road that leads to the driveway of 5622 Fairchild Drive.
Okay, we've got a motion. Is there a second? A second? All right. And there's no further discussion, so you all may record your votes electronically. And we need a couple more. We've got one more that didn't take. For some reason, Councillor Davis, your button's sticking a bit. Okay, it does pass.
Next item on the agenda is the FY18-19 Annual Action Plan and amendments to the FY14 through FY17 Annual Action Plans and the Neighborhood Stabilization Programs. The FY allocation for CDBG, we have given you a handout that was at your station this morning that shows how the funding is identified in the FY18, FY19 Annual Action Plan. And if there's any questions on that, the CDBG is $2,256,354. The home program is $1,024,593. The amendments to the 2014 to 2017 Annual Action Plans includes allocation of prior year CDBGs to projects as well as NSP 1 and 3 action plan amendments to use the program income for land bank activities for acquisition and redevelopment of abandoned and foreclosed properties.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second for approval, and you all may record your votes electronically. And it passes.
The next item is Westville, which was handled previously. The next item on the agenda is the street acceptance, North Ivy Park Drive, which is in the Ivy Park subdivision.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second to approve. There's no discussion, so you may record your votes electronically. It passes.
Next item on the agenda is the Muscogee County Pre-Disaster Hazard Mitigation Plan. FEMA requires each county and municipality to have a pre-disaster mitigation plan in place. The plan is the community's plan to evaluate hazards, identifying resources and capabilities, selecting appropriate actions, and developing and implementing the preferred mitigation actions to eliminate or reduce future damage. FEMA has already approved this plan.
We got a motion and a second for approval. There's no discussion on this item, so you may record your votes electronically.
And just to add, participation in this program provides a 10% discount on flood insurance premiums for those in our community, as well as a 5% discount for those coverage outside the floodplain.
Did you want to go through purchases?
I have one add-on, I believe, for legal services for risk management. This is the same attorneys that are being utilized in the past, and this would be a resolution to allow risk management to use those attorney services.
Okay, we've got a motion. Is there a second for attorney services? A second? Okay, any discussion on this item? All right, you may, well, if it's not on the agenda, I think I have to take an oral vote. It is? Okay, yeah, they're telling me it is, so you may record your votes electronically. Okay, and it passes. Now, Madam Deputy City Manager, I think I got confused. Have you gotten to purchases yet?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay, all right, I was going to say, thank you.
On the purchases, the first item is a change order number 2 for Recorder's Court modifications. As you may recall, as Council has been evaluating Recorder's Court, there was a request made to do modifications to make the office operate more efficiently. The request originally was $20,000. Those changes were made through an architect, and they have come in at $90,000. So the request on the purchasing agenda is approval of the $90,000 for the modifications to Recorder's Court and to utilize $74,460 of reserve funds in order to accomplish those improvements and modifications. And Donna Willingham from the Clerk of Recorder's Court is here to answer any questions that you might have on this request.
Okay, we've got Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Mayor. In our chair, Judy Thomas, Councillor Thomas's absence, I would like to let the council know that the subcommittee, Recorder's Court, met with city manager and staff, and along with Donna, talked about the need for the upgrade. The building itself, as we all know, is quite old, is in need of significant upgrading. We decided to go ahead and prepare the building for all the electrical outlets and all the computer outlets that would be needed in case we decided at some point in the future to move offices around or cubicles around or that kind of thing to accommodate upgrades. So all of that has been incorporated in to this cost. So I just want to let you know that. Did I leave anything out, Donna? Or?
No, that's all I can think of.
Okay.
So.
We appreciate the city manager and deputy city managers. Both of them were there talking through the issues, and staff too. It was very helpful. Thank you.
Okay. So did we get a motion on that item? I think we went into question.
So moved.
Okay, a motion and a second. All right, and there's no further discussion, so you may record your votes electronically. And it passes.
Item B on the purchases is the Assessment Center for promotional testing for the police department. This is an annual contract.
Okay, we've got a motion for approval. Is there a second? Second. All right, and there's no discussion, so you may record your votes on this item. And it passes.
The next item is also an annual. Yes, ma'am.
Can I make a motion for C through F to be approved and the deputy city manager can read them off?
Okay, that's a motion. Is there a second to approve D through F? Okay, and if you would, Pam, then just rattle
Sure.
them off.
Item C is recycling containers and related accessory equipment. This is an annual contract. Item D is an annual contract for concrete pipe. Item E is payment for inmate pharmacy services at the Muscogee County Prison in a total of $13,513.82. And item F is an annual contract as well for a service contract for various types of engines for Metra.
Okay. There appears to be no discussion or request to pull any items, so you may record your vote on items C through F electronically. Let's see, we need, looks like Councillor Garrett and, oh, whoops.
I need to pull, sorry, one of these vendors I saw in the line.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's very quickly, before we finish that vote, have an oral vote. We've got a request from Councillor Garrett to to abstain from item D as it is a client, and he needed to confirm that. So can I get a motion for his abstention? Okay, and can I, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor of the abstention, please state aye. Okay, Bruce, if you would please clear that, and we're going to vote very quickly one at a time, because their votes are going to be different most probably. So if you all would vote electronically for item C, please. And that one passes. Now we have item D, which is the one that Councillor Garrett has been abstained from. So if you all would record your votes electronically for item D. All right, and that does pass. Item E, please, if you would record your votes electronically. And it passes. And item F, if you would record your votes electronically. As soon as Bruce gets that cleared, there we go. Thank you. All right, and it does pass. I appreciate the media's patience. We needed to get that business taken care of. And so now we're going to have the Deputy City Manager continue on with her agenda and updates.
Thank you. The first update on the agenda is the Government Center update with Director John Hutchinson. And as council is aware, we've had several incidents at the Government Center, and we just wanted to update you on both of those incidences and where we're at with those.
Morning, Council. This is just an update on, we'll be speaking of two incidents, the one originally that happened, and then the second incident that happened on June 30th. Like we spoke of before, the damage to those floors that has been done. We've continued to go back and monitor to make sure nothing has gotten worse on any of those floors, any of those areas. Currently, the way we have the building set up right now is that you're open from the 9th floor and below for public access, and that's for the immediate future. The intent is to keep everyone off of 10 and 11 while we work through getting quotes and talking to the insurance adjusters and things like that. The mechanical and electrical contractors are going through the site, and that's really the meat and potatoes of what's going on is the electrical work and the mechanical work and what extent that we're working on. We've checked some of the, just to kind of give you a reference, some of the thermostats and some of the housing and controls that are in the Government Center. The company is out of business. So the company doesn't even, there's no one to be able to replicate these same parts to get things to fix what we have in the Government Center because they don't exist. The company doesn't exist. So we checked the thermostat to see if the thermostats were controlling the temperature, and then there was a malfunction, and then we go back to the controls that are in the ducts, and there was an issue there, and we called a company that called another company that called another company, and they're out of business. So we don't really have a way to, so those are some of the things that we're dealing with and trying to explain to the insurance adjuster as to replacement of those. It's not necessarily a repair for those things. It'll be a total replacement because there's no equal to it right now to be able to do what it was doing. Servpro is still on site. They finished the damage mitigation. Ideally now it's because we have people in the property and people, citizens using the property. We're just trying to make sure they're keeping everything as safe as possible. Air quality testing, we've gotten a lot of calls on that. That was performed on June 30th. Now, the big thing on air quality testing is you can test for anything. So we have to necessarily, the biggest concern, the biggest complaints we were receiving from employees was mold. So we made sure on this test, that was the thing we tested for. We tested for mold and air quality. We did 2 to 3 samples on every floor from 9th all the way down to the basement. So anything that's currently being inhabited, we made sure that that test was done. Ironically, it was on June 30th, which was before the second incident, but it was also done at that same time. So they went to every floor, they grabbed air samples. There was some mold found because at the age of the building, there's going to be mold, period. It's just not really a way to describe it, but the parts per million was definitely a difference between indoor and outdoor. That's really the only comparison we could do to make sure that there wasn't mold harboring in the building, because the air conditioning, those things are running and the dehumidifiers are running. Let's see, where are we at? There we go. So that's some of the photos of ServPro's cleanup. A lot of those blowers and humidifiers have been gone. We've cut about probably 2 feet there where we had most of the damage on the upper floors. We kind of have the exposed flooring now. All that tiling's been taken out. The carpet tiles are missing now. So that's more or less, that's the grand jury room, and that's in Judge Art Smith's area. So different areas have different types of damage. What we've concluded from this is probably one of the best pictures to show, is that the water, as it was coming down from those upper floors, you can see that there is in that picture to the left, there's a gap there between the concrete and the curtain wall. And we believe the water started to migrate through the building that way. So almost every offices, because the air conditioning system is around the outside, all of those vents were literally holding water. So you can see in the picture to the right, any of that flex duct ended up containing water, insulation, and things like that, and we had to remove those. So you'll see on the lower floors, we've had the mechanical contractor that Public Works we already have on contract come in and start replacing those. So that's been taken care of, but that's where we believe it happened. And if you, there's certain pictures I have to show you, and you have to look at it a certain way, but you can see the water staining on the inside of the curtain wall. So we really believe that's the way the water migrated through the building. We've had some issues with public access. Right now it is using the east wing entrance. And if you come into the lobby, we had it set up where the elevators, when you came down the stairs there from the garage to the right, were used for citizen access, and then we gave those other two specifically to ServPro so they could hurry up and get that material out of the building. In the last few days, we've opened it up, so all four are open now. Until we get a contractor, we get these next steps from the insurance company and moving forward with that. So all four are currently open now. Like I said, the major case assessment by Travelers is ongoing. We have another meeting with them today. They're actually back here today. We have done additional steps because we know we're moving forward with doing repairs to the building. We've moved forward with digitizing all the plumbing, mechanical, and electrical plans. We have a local company that's taking pictures of those and digitizing those plans, so we have those. So when the plumbers or mechanical contractors come in, they're not working from scratch. They're not having to dig in. They have the plans of what has been done to the building. And we currently have a plumber on site because most people are saying, well, how do we keep this from happening? And ideally, it would be able to have isolation valves on each floor. We have one that we dug around and found on 6. I think there's one maybe on 11, but if facilities doesn't know where they are, then it doesn't do us any good when an incident happens because no one knows how to get to it and how to turn those things off. So flooding incident number 2, which happened on Saturday, June 30th, we affected floor 4, 3, and 2. So the initial damage, like I told you, was from 11 down to 5, and then this was 4, 3, and 2. The areas were affected. We're on site moving the materials. ServPro got the standing water. One of our saving graces is that ServPro was at Golden Corral working on that incident over there. So they were able to get over there within the hour to get over there and have staff ready. When we had the incident before, they were getting a staff and getting a crew together, and luckily, because they had another incident they were working on that same day, they were able to come back over to the building and help us on that one. This is some of the photos that day. The flooding, like I said, was not as bad, was not as high, but we still had a lot of cosmetic damage to the flooring, which has been pulled up, the tiling, the floor bases, vinyl base, all of that has been taken care of. That's Judge Gottfried's office there to the right. That's Clerk of Superior Court on the left. So like I said, a lot of those areas that previously were not damaged in the previous incident were damaged in this one. ServPro was, like I said, there. These are pictures from Sunday when I was there. We went back through all that carpet tile, all of that stuff has been pulled up. That's one of DA's offices there to the left, and to the right, that's drying out of the clerk's office there. So we were able to, because ServPro was there and we had people on site, we were able to continue to operate, and everything worked as normal come Monday. We had a few areas that the people weren't accessible to, but the DA was gracious enough to work with us and had people work from home while we were able to get into those offices and get those things cleared out. Like I said, just kind of how it is. The mechanical and electrical contractors, they were already on site looking at the upper floors, and now they've just migrated now to the lower floors to work on what's going on. And so Servpro, once again, has finished all damage and has removed fans and dehumidifiers. What we did do on the second phase is we asked any of the ceiling tiles. We were getting complaints that people had complaints of ceiling tiles are missing over their heads. We had Servpro come back in and put tarps to protect people so nothing's falling. We don't want anything to fall on anybody or anything like that. And that's kind of what I said there. The air quality testing for mold now on the new areas that were disturbed will be this Saturday, and we'll have them go through the affected floors 4, 3, and 2 and do samples on those floors. The building and content adjusters are actually here this morning. I'll be leaving here and going to meet with them once this is over. And once again, we're kind of back in the process where Travelers has the information and scope of work from the adjusters. They can move forward with repairs.
All right, any questions for John? All right, well, John, thank you for what you're doing. It's been a very trying time, and it remains a trying time for those citizens and workers trying to use the government center. So thank you for shepherding the process to get things back up and running. All right.
Next on the agenda for updates is a paramedic update from the Fire Chief, Jeff Meyer.
Good morning. Just wanted to come in and provide an update on our paramedic program with the intent of identifying 6 employees in our department that are not receiving the full paramedic certification pay. We found out about a year ago that this was going on. If you recall, we came to a year or so ago with a pay plan proposal during the FY18 budget process. We do hope to revisit that soon at some point in time in the future. But as going through that process, we identified 6 employees that have paramedic certification that work in staff. They're not working in the field. They're not riding an ambulance. We think the intent, going all the way back to when the department, the fire department, the EMS department consolidated July 1st of 2001, was for that certification pay to go to those folks that were actively riding the ambulance and providing that pre-hospital emergency care from the ambulance. And that worked fine then. What we've identified through the years, and we talked about last year when the additional incentive was approved, was that these employees are going to get promoted. They're going to move up through the ranks. One day, one of them's going to have my job, I hope. And so in thinking about that, we looked at, as these folks are promoted, which promotion is a very important thing. Everybody wants, most folks want to get promoted. They want to do better for their families. But the way the paramedic incentive pay is administered, once they move into, and we don't have many of these positions, but once they move into a staff position, that incentive pay is reduced. And of course, they get the raise for the promotion, but at the end of the day, they bring home less money because that pay had been reduced. So what we'd like to do is, within the next couple of weeks, come to you with an ordinance cleaning up all those past ordinances from 2001 with the goal of ensuring that these employees that, maybe start today with us, go through the process, within a year or two, become paramedics through our paramedic program and address the needs that we have in the field, but also get promoted, and one day
they're standing in front of council, they're the fire and EMS chief, and they're a paramedic receiving that pay. These folks that are working on staff, and I've got some of them with me here today, got one out of town at a conference, but these folks are training. They're training these EMTs, they're training the paramedics, they're managing them, they're supervising, they're reviewing forms, they're working with the state office of EMS. So if the departments were still separated, they would be doing EMS work, and they would be compensated for that. That's our thought. Met a couple of weeks ago with HR, city manager's office, and the city attorney's office, and we thought it would be best to come to this body to inform you of what was going on with these 6 employees. Financially, we're talking about approximately $100 a payday per employee, so it's not a huge amount when you look at the overall city budget to make these folks right and to compensate them for that paramedic certification that they are using now, maybe not out with the patient in the ambulance or from the fire truck, but they're training folks not only to get to that level of certification, but also maintaining their training so they can these folks can maintain their license through the life of their career. So that's our goal today, really to come in and let you know where we were and see if you had any questions as we go through and tailor this ordinance to make sure those questions or concerns are answered.
Great. All right, we have the Mayor Pro Tem.
I just want to ask, what do we need to do to change this?
What's the process? Would it be a vote today, or
It
does
would need to come back to council as an ordinance for a first reading, because it's in a budget ordinance that established who would receive that additional paramedic pay incentive, so we would have to bring back an ordinance.
Right. And let me just to clarify a bit, this came forward initially as a proposal, I believe, in the mayor's budget as public safety director because of recruitment issues and other pay compression issues, and to encourage people to get their paramedic qualifications and certifications. There were only approximately, as the chief said, about 6, I believe, who council then modified the request to have the $2,600 supplement only applicable to those, quote, in the field. That only omitted about 6 that would be command staff. A couple of things to think about, as the chief mentioned, but just to put perhaps a finer point on. First of all, those 6 stand ready to provide whatever services, and they already do provide supervisory services related to their expertise as being a paramedic, and they provide training services, which they could not do if they were not certified paramedics. So they are utilizing that expertise, deserve, and certainly in my opinion, to be compensated for that expertise as it provides value, and they all stand ready to be in the field at any time, even though they're serving in other capacities right now. God forbid there be a disaster or they be called into duty, they're prepared to do so. But I think maybe more importantly, we created unwittingly a bit of an anomaly. So we have 6 folks who are command staff that are not receiving this $2,600. We provided it to people in the field, so as they move along and become more senior, they will someday, some of them will be command staff, and they will be sitting next to people with they will have their $2,600 supplement, unless we're going to pass a policy that you lose it when you get promoted, which would be odd. But to people who don't have it simply because they were one of the original 6. It creates a disparity that I don't know we want to create for just employment equity purposes, and certainly for morale purposes. The other thing I would say is it's, I think, less than $14,000 we're talking about annually. I don't know if there's a precise figure. What is it?
$20,515.
Okay, so it must be more than 6. So it's $20,000, $515 annually.
Yes.
So I would, every dime's precious. I would suggest it's a modest amount to avoid any pay inequity issues, certainly any fairness issues, and to compensate those that actually do have the expertise. So. So we would bring it back as an ordinance.
Correct.
Okay. All right, well, let's do that, and council can further contemplate it. Thank you, Chief, and I certainly support this request and hope you'll be successful, so thank you for coming.
Thank you, and you said it much more eloquently than I can. Thank you.
Sometimes if you say it twice, who knows?
There you go.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
The next item on the agenda is the short-term rentals.
Yes, I'm sorry, we've got, I'm sorry, Councillor Allen.
I'm going to ask the city attorney if you could provide council the original ordinance and then the language that you're proposing.
Yes, sir. I actually have a copy of it here with me today if you'd like to look at it.
No, just if you could send it
But I can
electronically.
email it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, and we've got Councillor Baker.
So Mayor, were you saying that was in the original budget proposal, but during the budget hearings it was pulled out, it was carved out?
Right, there was just debate, and a proposal was made to only apply it to those in the field. I can't remember the precision of the debate, but yeah, and so it was modified, and that just resulted in 6, 7 or so being omitted.
Okay. We can go
That
back and
happened.
see who made that request during the budget hearings, and I would like to hear from them to
Sure.
see what the,
I think,
The
we
issue.
certainly can, I think it was Councillor Davis, but we could pull that.
but we've got time, because it's got to go through the
recollection.
process anyway, so we
Yes.
can have further discussion about how that came about.
I think it was, and we can pull it, it was pretty much, my recollection is because it was pitched as a recruitment, because
Right.
we were having worldwide, but certainly nationwide and statewide, we're having a recruitment problem for paramedics.
Right.
And so I think it was, well, if it's a recruitment issue, then why don't we just deal with it in the field? And I would suspect that we didn't appreciate that it was just these very few folks, and probably didn't think through the fact that the people who were getting it would eventually be promoted.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So on the short-term rental, this is a proposed UDO amendment. As council recalls, we've been working for quite a while on developing an ordinance to address the issue with short-term rentals. That would be those who are renting out their home or a room in their home. It doesn't necessarily fall under the hotel motel requirements, so developing an ordinance that would address these types of units. We've worked with Inspection and Codes, the Finance Department, Business License, Columbus Convention and Visitors Bureau. Peter Bowden is here as well, the City Attorney's Office. And so this presentation will just walk through the different components of the ordinance that will be coming back to council at the next council meeting. So we're defining short-term rentals as an accommodation for transient guests where, in exchange for compensation, a residential dwelling, either the primary structure or any approved accessory structure, is provided for lodging for a period of time not to exceed 30 days.
Okay, we have Councillor Woodson.
Deputy Hodge, just before you keep going, is that considered like a bread and breakfast, or is that something completely different?
A bed and breakfast would be is a separate category that's already defined under the hotel motel tax, because they provide food as well. So this would be in addition and different from the bed and breakfast.
And not today, but I need you to set a little time for me to speak in reference to bed and breakfast in the historic district.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Continue, and I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let's see, we've got Councillor Huff.
To piggyback with Councilor Woodson, is this the Airbnb deal?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Airbnb is just one of the venues that they use. There's several, Verbo and HomeAway, and there's several.
Thank you.
What we're establishing as the requirements is completion of the short-term rental permit application, which I've attached the draft of that permit application that would go through Inspection and Codes, completion of a criminal background check, attain a valid business license, and this will be an annual renewal process. The application, like I said, is attached. There's different components of that application to include the property address, the type of building, whether it's a residential, apartment, condominium, or an approved accessory dwelling. The type of rental will either be partial rental of a dwelling, one room, or the full dwelling, they'll need to disclose that to us. They'll provide the applicant, the owner, a contact person or agent that's available 24/7, and how the property is currently being registered or advertised, whether they're going through Airbnb or whether they're just doing it independently. There is some attestations on there to include insurance, smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, the fire exit and escape plan. They have to attest that they're complying with the standards for the property maintenance and codes, as well as the UDO. There's no unpaid obligation or liens for taxes on this particular property, and if they're a renter, they have to show that they have consent from the property owner to basically sublease it for this purpose. The duties of the short-term rental agent, they have to be available to handle problems, respond within 2 hours following notification from the city. If there's a noise, disturbance, overcrowding, any type of issue or complaint that's been submitted to us, they need to respond within 2 hours. Receive and accept service of any notice of violation, and also to be available to monitor the unit for compliance. And there are different departments and agencies that will take part in the regulation procedures. The CCVB shall be responsible for the initial notification process to the owner of operating a short-term rental. So CCVB has agreed to maintain the database and to determine all of the short-term rentals through those Airbnbs and Verbos, and to notify them that they are required to go through a process to receive a permit to operate within the city, and they'll provide that information to the city. The Inspection and Codes Department will enforce any violations. We have set up that 3 violations within a 12-month period, the permit will be revoked for the next 12 months. They have to make sure that they've demonstrated compliance of any previous violations of zoning, building, health, or life safety code provisions. So they have to show that they are in compliance. Citations for code violations shall be heard in recorder's court, and we've established the violations. The first violation is a $500 fine. Second violation within the preceding 12 months would be $750, and the third violation within the preceding 12 months would be $1,000. We have included an appeal process for revocation, suspension, or denial is to go to the city manager or their authorized designee. So there is an appeal process included in the ordinance. And the short-term rentals will be required to pay taxes. That's state and local sales taxes, hotel motel tax, occupation tax, so they will operate just like any other facility that's renting out a space, just like a hotel motel. Our current timeline is today's presentation to give council an update, to go to the Planning Advisory Commission on July 18th, and then come back to council on August the 14th for the first reading of the UDO amendment. So that is our current timeline and process that we are recommending be implemented for the city of Columbus. And if there's any questions from council, I'll be happy to answer those.
Councillor Allen.
Thank you. This looks good. I've heard a lot of discussion in the community about it, and I appreciate you bringing it forward. My only question is on the violation citation area. Why did we restrict it to 12 months? Why would we not shorten that time?
This is what we looked at was to have the violations step up within a 12-month period of time, but we can look at reducing that so that the violations step up if there's 3 violations within a 6-month period of time.
Well, I was just thinking that 12 months to me is too far, too long. I mean, it seems like it should be a shorter window.
Okay,
But
we'll look at that.
just something to think about. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Councilor Baker.
I just want to ask Mr. Bowden a question. I think, Peter, are you comfortable with, I mean, you can handle the responsibilities of maintaining the records and notifications and things that are set out for you here? I mean,
Yes, sir. We have been working, since we had started this conversation, tracking the number of units operating in Columbus, and our consultant, travel consultant, actually is referring us to a firm that can even drill down closer to this and almost has a 90% plus guarantee on validation of current operators.
so you'll pick it up mainly from basically them being advertised in various resources, and then it flows back to you from those sources?
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. One more question. I see Ms. Ivy out here. Yvonne, is the occupation tax, is it still gross receipts on an operation like that, or is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
I see no more questions.
Okay, well, we'll bring that to the Planning Advisory Commission on July 18th and then back to council for first reading in August. And the last update is from Department Director of Parks and Rec, Holly Browder, on the Aquatic Center update.
Thanks. Good morning, Council. Today I'm here to provide a really quick update for you guys on the Aquatic Center. First, want to mention, though, before I go into the Aquatic Center, as you all know, before summer began this year, we started the Summer Pass program for children in the community to be able to visit our pools at a free or reduced rate. And I just want to report at this point that we've given out several thousand of those passes for the summer. Once summer's over, we'll have an exact number, but just wanted to mention it's been very successful, and we've had a lot of users as a result. But here today, I am here to talk about the Columbus Aquatic Center. Previously, we discussed, I mentioned in the last presentation I gave in April during the outdoor pool that we had to have work for the Aquatic Center. And on that same day, on April 10th and the 24th, we sent out the bid advertisements to have the work done for the Aquatic Center. And then on June 12th, we had the actual bids come back, and we had them approved through you guys at a cost of $36,577. But here I want to explain to you guys so you'll know what the repairs actually are that have to be done and the timeline for what is expected. When I was here previously, we did not know that information. We hadn't had the contractors come out. They weren't at that time able to tell us until they were finished what the timetable would actually be. So at this point, we expect to start some of the repair work on August 6th, and that is purposeful. We choose that date because that's when children go back to school, so most kids will be back in school at that point, and we'll be able to do work at the Aquatic Center. The first work that we're going to begin is in the small pool. We have a leak in the corner of the pool under the surface of the pool deck. What that is going to entail is for us to tear out the pool deck itself and to go in and have the pipes replaced and repaired. At the same time, when they come and make the repairs to that, they're also going to check for any additional leaks by pressure testing all the lines. It is going to require us to drain that pool so that we can do the work. And then once we get that work done, we will refill the pool. It's expected to take at most 21 to 30 days. This is an estimate of time based on what we were told by the contractor being worst case scenario. The competition pool at this point will remain open so that we can serve the public and our swim teams. And what we're also going to do is keep double churches open. Typically, double churches would be closed at this point, but we're actually going to leave it open for the public and swim team use. That way, there's still somewhere for kids that typically would go to the small pool. They'll have somewhere actually to go and swim. And the way we're going to manage it is by splitting the staff that we would typically have at the Aquatic Center. We will divide them and send them outside to double churches. The next start date will be 11 to 15 days after we start work on the small pool. And why is that? Because I said, we're trying to keep as much open as long as we can to impact the community as least as possible. 3 days before we get ready to work on the competition pool, we'll close it and start draining the pool. Why is that? There are 2 areas currently in the pool where the plaster needs to be repaired. The pool itself was only warranted for 1 year, and the pool opened in August of 2013. So as you can see, we will have been in the pool almost 5 years. And at this point, we've never closed the pool for this type of maintenance since we've opened. Typically, every year the ice rink closes, so the Civic Center, they close the ice rink every year for a month, and they do repairs. We close our rec centers every year for at least a week and do repairs, but we haven't done so with the aquatic center. So at this point in time, we're trying to make all of our repairs at once to be closed as short a time as possible. So as I said, 3 days before we start work on the comp pool, we will start draining it, and then we know we have a minimum of 2 areas that have to be replaced. They will inspect for any other areas that need to be repaired, and then they will begin to refill the pool. To make the efforts quicker, we will be working with Columbus Waterworks and the fire department as well to take the water out, put the water in as quickly as possible. And then once we begin the work on the competition pool, it's estimated that it will be down, as I said previously, about 10 to 15 days. And then once all the repairs are made and we begin to fill it up with water and have it full of water, we will actually begin the deck work. You can't start the work on the deck until all the water is back in the pool, because we'll be running hoses, pipes, everything, employees and staff and others putting water back in the pool. So the company that's actually doing the deck work doesn't want to start until all of that is finished, as we can understand. We want to make sure that it's done as cleanly as possible. And so their part will be to go in and repair the concrete that was torn out, to pressure wash the deck, and then to recoat it with a slip-resistant finish, and then apply a new top coat as well. So we will have a new deck at the Aquatic Center. And that is it. I know it sounds like a lot, and it is a lot of work, but it's just the timetable that it will take for us to get the work accomplished. And like I said, you can see we've tried to plan out as carefully as possible to have the least impact, but we still anticipate it being 3 or 4 weeks, just because of the time frame to get all of the work done. With each contractor coming in as quickly as possible, we'll have 2 vendors doing the work. One will be doing the actual repairs for both pools, and then we have another contractor that will actually do the deck work. And so they'll sort of be working in tandem. As soon as one finishes, the next one will start. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, we have Councillor Huff.
Yes.
Kudos. Very good job. Nice presentation. Thanks for the update.
Okay.
Only question I had, not concerning this, but the pools. How are the kids doing this summer?
Good.
Everybody doing well?
Doing good.
They're bouncing in and out the pools and
Yes.
bus passes, everything's working?
Has worked really well this summer. Hope to give an update at a later time when we can give some harder, more firm numbers. At this point, all I can say is we've given out several thousand, only because we have so many various locations that we gave out. We gave out at the Aquatic Center, we gave them out at our office, we gave them out at Metra at the transfer station, and the ice rink gave them out for us, and then we also did it at the rec centers. So we tried to have as many locations within the city as possible. Okay. All of the information was sent out through the school district for us before kids got out of school. So all the kids who attend Muscogee County were given notification. We also sent flyers out with all of our after-school kids and all of our programs, and had posters. There's one in the lobby here. We tried to put boards up so people could be well aware. I know I did 4 radio shows. We did numerous articles in the newspapers, and so we tried to put the word out. Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah. You did a great job. I was just wondering, with the temperatures being as high as they are, this is a nice summer to be in the pools?
Yes, they have been in the pools. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, we have Councillor Baker.
Going forward from a planning perspective, are you looking at building in some maintenance shutdowns?
Yes, sir. Thank you for a very good question. Yes, sir. Going forward, we would like to have the opportunity once a year to close to do some of these kinds of things that need to be done at least once a year, and some different types of cleaning and maintenance that we can't typically do with the public when they're there. So yes, sir, we would like to do that going forward. And the other reason, I must mention, the other reason we chose this time frame was, one, not only does it have the least impact on summer, but it prepares us for high school swim season. So high school swim season here starts in October, and it runs through the beginning of February. And so we tried to find a time frame that didn't that had the least impact, whether it was on school district and our swim teams or the local swim teams as well, because they really use it a lot in the spring for their competitions, as well as us hosting the NAIA championships.
I mean, there's going to be some inconvenience, but those maintenance schedules are critical for these type of facilities. I mean, all of them are shut down for that purpose.
Yes, sir.
To extend the long-term
And we
life.
wish it wasn't, and obviously the contractors know the urgency, that discussion's been had, and they'll do the repairs as quickly as possible. But we just want to, we're looking worst-case scenario, just to be
I mean, it's good that it's well-used, but it's hard to squeeze in the downtime, but
Yes, sir.
that those maintenance schedules need to be built in going forward even.
Yes, sir. And that's
really,
currently the plan.
Originally, we had even talked about that,
Yes.
had limited use for this facility, it's just used a lot more than perhaps
Right.
we thought it would, which is a
Right.
good thing.
And what we have done is, we've kicked around several different ideas. We've talked to our Aquatics Commission, and
right.
we will also be talking further. We've already had some discussions, but we'll have further discussions with the swim teams that use it. So when is the least time that impacts them? We don't want to close and they have a big
Sure.
meet coming up in 2 weeks or whatever.
No, and I understand that.
Whatever the
And I
slow time is, then we'll figure that out and
But
pick a good time.
preventive
frame.
maintenance will go a long way
Yes.
in the long run. And
Yes.
the outdoor pools are shut down, months at
Right,
a time.
right.
So
Right. No,
it
exactly.
needs to be done.
And that's the goal going forward. It's just been with the high demand that we've had for the Aquatic Center
Right.
and the things that we've gone through over the past few years with the Aquatic Center, it just
Yep.
wasn't a good time. And honestly, some of the issues we have now just came about. And so it seemed like the best time at this point to do everything at once.
Yeah.
So, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we have the Mayor Pro Tem.
Good morning.
Hi.
I stopped by Cheryl Winston to see if they have had any complaints about it.
Yes, ma'am.
And she said everybody seems to be happy. Haven't heard anybody complain or be negative about it.
Good. Yes, ma'am.
All right, that seems to be it. Thank you, Holly.
Thank you.
All right, we have Ms. Hodge.
Thank you, Mayor. That concludes the city manager's agenda.
All right, we will we will now turn it over to the Clerk of Council. Madam Clerk.
Madam Mayor and members of council, on the clerk's agenda, have a few items of information, have several temporary street closing applications. I have one for the Dillingham Street Bridge on Saturday, July 14th, from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. in connection with the Sprint Triathlon. Have one for July 28th for Midtown Drive for a back-to-school supplies giveaway. Have one for from Broadway on August the 7th from 4:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. in connection with the National Night Out. And have one for August the 11th in connection with the Olympic Triathlon. Have a biographical sketch of Mr. Dennis Waltz. This is Councillor Thomas' nominee for the Personnel Review Board. And then on a hospital authority, I'll get to that down later on the board appointments. I have a resolution to excuse Councillor Allen and Mayor Pro Tem from our June 19th meeting, and also I have a resolution to excuse Councillor Barnes as well as Councillor Thomas from today's meeting. Can I get motion to approve those?
We've got a motion and a second for approval. All those in favor, please state aye.
And also received a letter of resignation from Ms. Janet Crane, resigning from her seat on the Circle Commission. Can I get a motion to receive that?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept with regrets. All those in favor, please state aye.
And then I have a request from the Department of Parks and Rec. They're asking that the seat of Mr. Andre Dye be declared vacant on the Recreation Advisory Board.
Okay, we have a motion and second for approval. All those in favor, please state aye.
And on our minutes, we have minutes of the Airport Commission, Board of Tax Assessors, Budget Review Committee, Civic Center, Hospital Authority, Housing Authority, Planning Advisory Commission, and the Recreation Advisory Board. Motion to receive those.
We've got a motion and a second to receive the minutes. All those in favor, please state aye.
On our board appointments, on the Columbus Aquatics Commission, Ms. Sally Bradley's term has expired. She does not wish to serve again. We'll need a replacement for that seat. On the Community Development Advisory Council, Councillor Huff, you're still working on a replacement. Councillor Allen, we still need someone for District 6, and then we need someone for the District 10 at large. On the Comprehensive Plan Stakeholders Committee, we still need someone for that District 10 at large seat. On the Hospital Authority, we have received notice that they have reappointed Ms. Sarah Banks Lane as well as Mr. Jason Connolly. I need a motion to confirm.
Motion to confirm.
We have a motion and a second to confirm. All those in favor, please state aye.
On the Liberty District Advisory Committee, we still need someone for Districts 5 and 7.
I'll have someone in the next one. There's 3 people we're trying to figure out.
Thank you.
But I should have somebody for you in the next council meeting.
Thank you. On the Personnel Review Board, Mr. Dennis Walls has been nominated. He can be confirmed.
Got a motion and a second for confirmation. All those in favor, please state aye.
On the Recreation Advisory Board, Mr. Derek Green has resigned. We'll need a replacement for this seat, Councilor Baker. And then on the Tree Board, we still need someone for Ms. Cassie Renfro's seat. And that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Okay, great. We've had a request for an executive session on matters of a security plan, litigation, and personnel. I'll entertain a motion to enter executive session. Oh, and real property, I'm sorry. So a fourth item, real property. All those in favor, please state aye. Oh, did you get the second, Tiny?
Councilor Woodson.
Okay, good, yes. All right, we are then in executive session. If you would, please clear the chambers. All right, well, we are back online. We have just exited an executive session on property issues, security issues, personnel, and litigation. No votes were taken. So at this time, we'll turn it over to our Deputy City Manager, our Assistant City Attorney, Lucy Sheftel. There we go. There you go.
Thank you, Mayor. We have a couple of resolutions that can now be adopted. The first is a settlement of a claim for damages filed by Vernon Glenn. It is ready for adoption.
Second.
We have a motion and second for approval. Is there any discussion on this item? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please state aye. Aye. Are there any opposed?
All right, thank you. Our next item for action is a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign a lease to procure office space for various judicial offices that have been displaced by the recent flooding in the government center.
Move approval.
We've got a motion and second for approval. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none. All those in favor, please state aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? All right, those items carry. Anything else?
That's all. Thank you.
Okay, we've got a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please state aye.